Hello, everybody. Welcome to this talk. It's really lovely to be back. Yeah, I took a month off and me and my partner have had a really wild month. A really wild month. I might have seen some of you on my travels. So yeah, it's really beautiful. Yeah, to connect and to meet and to, just share space in silence. Hmm. Yeah, I think my microphone level got turned down a little. There we go, it's back up again. Okay, so we begin the talk. What is the title of the talk? I've forgotten already. Just let me have a look. Title of the talk is What Happens When the Old You Has Died and the New One Has Not Arrived? So what happens when the old you has died and the new one has not arrived? We have such bizarre concepts as humans that we don't even realize our bizarre concepts. So that is a bizarre concept. What happens when the old you dies? So who is this you that died? Like, who is this old you that died? So this is something that people feel often, is that the old you has died. But who is that? Who is this you that's died? So for those that are new to this subject or new to my stream, that might be a really bizarre concept, like who is the you that died? So that might, like what's she talking about? Well, me, this person I thought I was, and this person has died, and then this new person hasn't taken place. So it's like I got into spirituality. I can hear the story of it. I got into spirituality. And then through getting into spirituality, this character changed. And it changed in ways which aren't recognizable, and I don't really know who I am anymore. So let's break down, first of all, what people think themselves to be. So most people think themselves to be a name, a body, past events, and future events. Yeah. What they've done, their choices, their decisions in this life, their behaviors, their wants or not wants, their relationships, i.e. being a mother, a father, a daughter, a sister, a grandparent. And they believe that all of that is who they are. So that's maybe something that we can describe in time about the character, about the supposed character. But it's not who you are. Not nearly who you are. So most humans believe that that person that I've just described is looking through the eyes now and experiencing other people. But how can that person be looking through the eyes now when that everything you say about yourself is an imagination? So if I knocked you on the head, or if you fell over or fell off your bike and got memory loss, and you forgot all these things, would you still be you? If you took drugs and forgot who you were when you were on drugs, would you still be you? And I feel like most people would unanimously say, yes, I would still be me. But yet they believe that who they are is a story looking through the eyes. That's not true. So you could see it like a little bit like a projector, that projects films. It's like projecting a film of this woman who's on a spiritual search. And then it's like the actual box projector believing that the film it's projecting is the experiencer of the film. Or is the projector of the film, is watching, is the experiencer. So right now, you're dreaming a character, you're dreaming a life, and you believe that's the experiencer. And this is where suffering arises from. the misidentification that who you are is a story in time rather than a radical presence which is experiencing now, which is prior to the story in time. And what you might notice about the story about you, the story of you, of this character in time, is that it's a lot of who you think yourself to be is about what you want or don't want. It's about wants and seeking. So you've got two different forms of wants. You've got natural wants, and then you've got seeking wants. And the seeking wants is what makes identity. And the seeking wants are the wants where there is attachment to them. And the attachment is the belief that these wants will free me in time. So it could be, if I get enough money, I will be able to be free, I will relax. So we're always waiting for that moment of relaxation. But the relaxation is your nature, it is what's watching the dream, it's that which is prior to the character. But the character is looking for that relaxation in its story of itself, which it can never complete. And this is what actually makes the illusory you, is this attachment to the wants. It's a really funky phenomena that happens where the consciousness and the wants and the I am all get squished together. So it feels like somebody is inside the body. And that happens through seeking, through the belief that your freedom, that what you're looking for, that your home, that deep rest, that peace comes from a future event or is taken away from you in a future or past event. And that forms this you, this illusory you. It's like it sort of makes consciousness and the feeling of I am, which are impersonal and prior to the illusory story of you, feel like they belong to the illusory story of you. And then this illusion manifests, and it feels like there is illusory you that owns consciousness and owns beingness and is walking around separate in this world. And so when that begins to be challenged, and as there begins to be a waking up, all your desires and seeking patterns begin to change. So everything about you begins to change. What you held as important becomes less important. What you spent your time doing to try and achieve something you maybe have less interest in. You maybe have less interest in socializing and presenting to everyone a particular story about yourself. And so everything in which you thought was you and navigated your life by begins to dissolve. And this can be called like walking through the desert often by people. Like you no longer have these seeking desires anymore, and yet there's nothing which replaces that with, and you're still not feeling like the bliss and the freedom of yourself. So there is this discontent, and then nothing in the life seems to make you feel contented. Whatever you look for doesn't feel like it's it. So it's described like, I think Jesus like walked through the desert, I think for like 40 days or something. It's described like this. Like a desert as in everything's dry. And you don't have a direction, because in the past your direction was seeking, and yet you don't really fully hear what could be called God's will, or natural intuition, or your natural wants or desires. So there isn't this like deeper movement happening. So what to do when that happens is that you have to keep presenting yourself to this subject. So your mind might begin to blame this subject or think it's done something wrong. And then a good thing to do is to evoke bhakti, evoke the loving, compassionate side of non-duality. And know this is part of the process. The apparent process, and happens to many. And that it will, like everything, pass. And there won't be a new you that arises or arrives. It will be that the seeking you will dissolve more and more, and the character will become more authentically itself. And then you could call that being more authentically yourself, like God's will appearing, like God is speaking through you rather than you as a separate person is doing something. So there's this flow that takes over. And ironically, that flow feels naturally yourself, organically yourself. It doesn't feel like some alien has taken over your body and it's like moving, like you're a marionette suddenly. It feels like yourself acting, because you are God. So it feels like the most intimate sense of you moving everything, not some bizarre foreign entity. But it's without the second. It's without that separation. It's spontaneous, it's natural. There's not that second which is controlling or owning or trying to get something for itself. Okay. I think that's the end of the introduction. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to raise your hand in Zoom. You can also write the question in Zoom, or you can write the question in Telegram. Just know that if you ask a question, your audio, not your video, will be streamed onto YouTube and recorded onto YouTube. Just your audio, though. And if you want to join the Telegram group so you can join the live streams, you can find out how to do that on my website, which is in the link somewhere below under live stream. And you can join the community. It's very sweet what's beginning to happen there, becoming more and more a community. Yeah, Aline, you can unmute yourself. Thanks.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey.
Hi. Yeah, I didn't really want to ask a question, but then because of what you spoke about, in fact, I also came a bit late because I couldn't arrive on time, and so I just heard a bit of it, but it felt kind of, I think, a bit recognizable, but I'm not so sure. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my question is.
Maybe we just had to look at each other.
It's anyhow nice to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is a bit of from what you said also, I'm sorry, I can't remember very well, but it was about the desert and about this, it sounded a bit like in between place. And I'm not so sure, but I have the impression that that's sometimes what I'm experiencing. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but it's I think I said the retreat that a lot fell away, and it keeps falling away things, and I feel quite a bit open and directionless, and it often feels quite okay, but sometimes also some fear. But yeah, there's I just also often notice that it's not happening to someone. It's just fear, for example, or just yeah, peacefulness, or just thoughts, and it's not someone experiencing a thought, but just this.
Yeah, it's such a
But it changed.
change. Yeah, it's such a change to the way before. I don't know how long you've been in the spiritual path, but when before there's always this next thing. So even if it's like studying, or if it's learning new things, there's always something which is in the destination, and then there's job and there's family. So there's something that's giving you direction from the outside and from the inside, like internally. Your mind imagines direction, and then externally, the world is giving you direction. But the more you get into this subject and it really touches something, and these ideas begin to fall away, and then sometimes the external begins to fall away as well. So the family, the friends don't come calling so much. And then you've seemingly got this time. And then sometimes you might feel at peace, but then other times you feel agitated or not so, or fearful. And then the mind, begins to come up with stories about that, or dry, feeling a dryness like I was talking about. And it's just like everything, like that discernment that we spoke about on retreat last week. Like it's just seeing the thoughts for what they are. And this too is a passing phase, and it often comes with lack of direction. And that can be scary because it feels like we've got this world to navigate and that we're moving through this world in time. And that if we don't navigate it correctly, then something bad is going to happen to us. And what's been asked for us in this subject is to drop out of that one that's controlling and then let this natural movement begin to take over. And that is like there is some like training wheels on that. You know, there is this dryness that happens and this discomfort that happens in that, and then there can be great openness and great peace, and then the discomfort comes. And it's just total discernment that anything your mind says about these different states doesn't have reality. And what we're trying to do is let go and go beyond that one that's trying to come up with these ideas. When you do feel very uncomfortable, though, there's always wisdom. You know, you will have learnt so much wisdom from being in this subject. So then follow the wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like of what teachers recommend of different practices you've done. But then, and then at the same time, you know, when it's possible, just to really let go and let that other energy take over, which is so intimately you.
Yeah, thank you. It's not when you say it now. This is really recognizable. I think this is really probably what's happening, because I can feel that, like it's as if it's like doing like this, and then sometimes it seems again as if things are seen from thoughts, but then like it's seen it's just that it's really nothing, and all these emotions really nothing really, like it's just empty, and then it just shifts more into this expansion and like more what I really am. And then I noticed it lately, like last week I was traveling, and sometimes it just all felt so natural and like it just moved so easily,
Mm.
like and and also what I notice is that I'm wondering if this is a part of this process. It seems that my sensitivity seems to, or intuition maybe, seems to deepen,
Mm.
um uh,
Yeah,
or like,
totally.
yeah,
Mm.
like for example, last 10 days ago I was sitting on the beach, and um and then but it just happened. I was just sitting there a bit in silence and just being, and two people passed with a dog on a leash, and then somehow some some kind of thought came that said, come here to this dog. And but it just happened, and then I saw that this dog started pulling the leash and coming towards me, and I was like, I didn't expect that this would happen, but then that happened. And then the dog put his head in my lap, and I was just like very happy because I love dogs, and I was caressing the dog. And then suddenly I felt like a lot of sadness and fear and being lost. And I could feel that this was what the dog was feeling. And then like I felt that this dog wanted me to tell the people, like, how he was feeling. And I thought like this is a bit crazy, but I told the people, like it just also just happened. Like it was like just everything just happened by itself. And I told the people, like, is it possible that he's not feeling so well and that he's afraid? And then they said, yeah, we just adopted him and he's had a terrible life. And then yeah, this dog wanted me to tell those people what he needed. And but it just, because of it wasn't like something personal. It just happened by itself. And this kind of, I noticed that this kind of, I don't know, it's if it's intuition or sensitivity, happens more often, but not
Yeah.
when there's like this contraction from the mind coming back, but when it's like this is just on top, the
Yeah.
contraction from the mind,
Mm.
on top of reality. It's not really there, I notice, but sometimes it seems to be real again.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm talking so much. But
Yeah.
like when it's expansion, then
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
No, totally. And that and and it's like to when you're in that flow to the outside world, it could be that you look a bit crazy because it doesn't make sense. But that's exactly what you've got to do, is like follow that intuition, which doesn't make sense, and it might be rejected by people, but it's like giving up this identity that needs to control its life and be a certain way.
Yeah.
So it's just flow happening. And we communicate in so many ways. It's not just verbal. So
Absolutely. That's nice. It's like reassuring, like, because I feel this control coming back from time to time, or wanting to, or the fear, and then just to know it's just a natural happening. Also, all of this, and just wants to. It's like, I don't know. I want to be free as who I am, or something like this.
yeah. Nice, thanks, Neen. Yeah, it's
Thank you
really
so much.
yeah, pleasure. It's really so it's just all energetical. Like our understanding is so small in comparison to the energy, and it's just, yeah, more and more we give up and just allow that movement to happen.
Yeah, it's so beautiful how, I don't know if I would know the right words, but like how much more deep everything is than what it looks on the surface, or something, or also so much more simple.
Yeah, our mind makes
And
things really complex and really simple simultaneously. Like there's both.
yeah, and I also find it really reassuring, because like sometimes when the sense of fear of control comes up, like just to know that it's also like part of the process, and that it's like there's nothing wrong with it. It's
Yeah,
just also wanting to move through, and wanting to, I don't know, whatever it wants to do, but that I
yeah,
don't have to also interfere with it. It's like
yeah.
it's just what's
It's
coming
just,
up.
yeah, it's just working its way out, and then just as much as you can, just noticing it when it arrives, rather than like being really lost in it. But even if you're really lost in it, then just the noticing afterwards, like it's all happening perfectly at every moment.
Mm. Yeah, like now I notice now, for example, I don't know if it would be fear, but there's like some kind of tingling moving through the body, and like kind of like electric pulses. Um, I mean, it doesn't even feel like it's happening in a body, to be honest. It just like, I don't know
Everywhere.
where it's happening. Yeah, I don't know where.
Yeah. Yeah, really, everything that we feel and we think is inside the body is actually everywhere. So so if there is anger arising, it's actually the walls, the room, the other is angry. All there is anger. It's important that we have some form of discernment at points in order to interact with other people. But when you really deeply go into it, is that every emotion is actually belonging to everything, not to a body, Just like seeing is belonging to everything, so is all motions or feelings or sensations. You can't separate it out from everything.
But then is it like, I do notice now this kind of sensations that are here. I don't feel it like it's in the body. I don't know why, but it doesn't feel like that. Like you say, it feels more like it's here everywhere, or like just here. But there's not a separate you there either. So like, I don't like, what is it then? Like, I think I'm
Yeah.
again trying to understand it, but I don't understand it.
Yeah. What is that? So if energy of fear arises, what is that, and who does it belong to? If there's just, I mean, even fear, when you really go present into it, it's not really fear. It's electricity. It's energy arising. But yeah, whose energy is it? But that one. It's not really a body. We need these forms of discernment in order to function as a society. But what happens is you give everything back to that which everything belongs to, which is this consciousness, and the consciousness is all things and no things. So everything that arises, all seeing, hearing, feeling, emotions, it's all belongs to everything. Because where is hearing? Where is seeing? And the same with emotions. The same in the end with thinking. Like thinking also isn't happening inside of the mind. And this is where the more and more that you begin to give up owning any of them, then the more and more you'll most probably, or for some people, they'll become more psychic of what other body minds are thinking. It's a weird thing, but it's it does need to be worked out.
I don't find it weird. That I don't, strangely enough, maybe, but that I don't find weird.
Yeah.
I think it was already there, but when I was younger, so like, so it's not like so strange. And like, even logically, it makes a lot of sense if there's just oneness, like this, just, or there's just this, what is beingness. Like, I mean, sometimes it's very clear. There's no separation whatsoever. There's just this one beingness. There's nothing else. And so then it's not strange. Like with this dog, it's not weird that this happens, because it's not like someone speaking to a dog. Then I see it's like, I don't know I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not a person speaking to a dog.
It's that one energy that's knowing and interacting with itself.
Yeah. Yeah, in the appearing forms then, because they're like, when I'm speaking to you now, I'm not really speaking to another person.
Yeah,
You're
you're
just,
speaking, yeah, to yourself. Yeah.
and it just, like, it's just a different appearing form then.
Which is as much you as any thoughts or feelings of yourself. As much you.
And you sometimes say giving it all back, like, is that so that it sounds that then for me, like, first moment it would sound like it's just somebody giving something to somebody, but it's also not true, is it? Like, it's more like knowing that it doesn't belong to a person and never belonged to a person. It's just not mine, or not
Yeah, not yours. Yeah.
belonging to a seeming person.
Yeah. Yeah, just giving it back is like a romantic way to say it, but it's always the negative, it's always the loss of self, the minus program. And then when the illusory self is lost, then there's nothing that is claiming something for itself anymore.
And is the fear then also coming up because of that? Of the
The
like
fear,
nothing like anymore anywhere to that, like every solidity and object is gone, and therefore it's like sometimes I have that feeling like where do I have to hold on then? I
yeah,
mean, even though I probably never could hold on to anything because it never existed, but it still seems like that
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, the fear arises because it's like a shift in energy, seemingly. So the fear arises because as that is challenged, that energetic separation that's happening in the body is challenged. So it gives the body the feeling like it's dying.
Mm.
And then the person then imagines past and future and being lost in time and not knowing where it is or being mad. And then that evokes more fear. It's just it's not a strategy of that separation, like that separation is strategizing to do that. It's just a natural functioning that's happening because the boundaries being challenged. So the body begins to go into fear, and then the person then begins to try to scramble to make sense of that, and normally projects up being lost in time or nothingness or emptiness or being mad or being alone in
Yeah.
eternal emptiness. And it's none of that's true. It's just that the fear, the body goes into fear because the way the body goes into fear is because it's like a shift in energy. So even though you're looking from this place, there's an energy that releases from the body that's been holding things inside the body. So that's often, I think, what happens in the dark night of the soul, that arises fear in the body. And then the person comes in with stories to match that fear. You know, the fear of being lost in time, but you can never be lost. That's all imagination. You can only be lost in a dream. And you aren't the dream. Well, you are the dream, and you aren't the dream. You create, like what you're prior to the dream, you could say, and that you create the dream out of yourself. But the person imagines being lost in the dream, so being lost in emptiness, or being lost by, be consumed by loneliness, or all these projections. And it's just this discernment, like not true, not true. The only thing that's true is what you are, which is something that cannot be spoken about. We can name it consciousness as long as that's not personalized in any way, and it's all things and no things. It's what you've always been, but in that you've dreamt yourself to be something else. And in the dream will never resolve itself. What can happen to the character in the dream is that the character then, there's a waking up, and then the character knows it in the dream, but the dream is endless. It will carry on and on and on and on. So it's that place which isn't endless that is the freedom.
Do you mean like because sometimes like well, it does really open up so much, and there's like a lot of happiness, and I see, oh, I'm completely free, and there's nothing like there's no fear, there's nothing. There's like it's all an illusion. All everything that seemed to have happened, it never happened.
Mm.
But then like yeah, it does go back like to the dream. Like now, I probably am more in the dream or something. Uh,
But
or
that's because
seemingly, I don't know.
yes, that's because in that there's still a person that's coming and going, and when that person is seemingly going, then it claims that, and then it comes back and it claims that. So it's just when that eventually that will stabilize, and there will be this knowing that is prior to the person and resting deeply, continuously in that which is prior to the person.
Like
It's
it's a gradual process of this, like because this I do recognize. I think that the person seemingly comes in and out,
yeah. It's a
but
gradual process normally of waking up and then falling asleep again, waking up, falling asleep, waking up and falling asleep. And when you wake up, then the falling asleep is the person beginning to claim that in some way, or notice that, or understand that, or want that. But it's not so conscious. Often it's like a so that's what happens in the dream. But when you really realize who you are, then you realize it was timeless. Like the dream contains time, and the dream is never the reality. It's something that comes and goes.
Yeah. But what I do think is different is that I'm not so sure, but that like it doesn't, even though yeah, it's like it's normal that I don't understand it so much from the mind, because the mind cannot see what the reality really is. But I don't know what I'm trying to say something, but I can't like phrase it, I think. Yeah, that it like it's not. I do see that like there's this seeming illusion of the person reappearing, but I can see that this is also consciousness. It's not something else, even though it appears as something else.
It also
Like
is
I
consciousness,
don't
yeah.
know what I'm trying to say, but that's a different like I do see that I can't really go back to something because there's only this, even if it appears as a person.
Totally. You can never go back to that, yeah. It's all appearing out of that one consciousness. That can be crazy making for the person, but it's also deeply relaxing because you really recognize that you, who you truly are as the creator, is creating spontaneously and without any effort. And that person comes up and believes it's separate, and then it disappears back into non-separation. And it's all happening, and it's not really you doing it, but while you're there, often it feels like you are going through a process and you are doing things.
Yeah, exactly. That's really how how I experience it. What you just said. It's like it's also just like talking to you is also, well, it's also more on an energetic level, but also like in the words, it's just so helpful and reassuring, just to know. In fact, it's so simple, just to know that it's okay. You know, that's really like, okay, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what the person's always worried about. Is there something I'm missing here? Secret ingredient. I missed the cinnamon on top. You know, on the drink you put the cinnamon on those drinks in like Starbucks or something. You've not missed anything.
Mm.
You couldn't possibly.
No, when things are like very clear, then I know I could never miss anything. Nothing could ever go wrong. Nobody could ever do anything wrong, or like it doesn't exist. But sometimes it just seems like that a bit again, and I'm like, is that?
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to someone else. Thanks, Lean.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Lee, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Lee.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. I just have to check that my audio is loud enough. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, good, because I know I'm being quite quiet today. Yeah, I've checked it.
You okay?
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk today about God, and I'm even reluctant to talk about it. I feel like I have always resisted God's presence or even this will sound funny, the concept of God, which is ironic because I, as a person, you could say, as a concept. But ever since I was a child, when my parents sent me to Hebrew school to presumably learn about my religion and about God, I never really accepted. It didn't make sense to me. I couldn't see it. It was really God as an old white guy with a long white beard living up in the sky somewhere. It didn't fit for me. And then over the years, when people would say it's God's will or it's God's plan, I always seemed to reject that, and it just did not make any sense. And when I started getting into spirituality about 12 or so years ago, I had no idea. First of all, I didn't know it was spirituality or anything about God. Otherwise, I think I probably would have been turned off. It was more about consciousness and learning who I really am and recognizing I'm not the thinker that I thought I was. But I've always resisted, or I should say, there has been resistance toward this idea of God. And whenever the term comes up, and I heard you say it earlier today, somehow it turns me the wrong way. There's resistance toward it. And I realize that I'm not truly resisting it. It's resistance of the ego, you could say. But I'm curious as to why that has always been the case, why I've always seemingly resisted God or God's presence or what have you. If you could talk about that some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. When there is fear of other, so when we take ourselves to be someone, and then there is this boundary and then a fear of other. So we have this idea that we're someone inside here and that the other is someone out there. And then what will arise is then fear of this unknown out there. There is an unknown other which has thoughts and feelings and behaviors which are separate to me and could affect me. And that's all imagination, that there is someone out there. So then when a concept of God comes in, and we're taught that there is a God in the sky, I was taught the same thing. I used to believe that he wore yellow, and he had like this yellow dress thing, and that he had a big beard and like long white hair. Then we will see God in the same way. We will see God as something separate to us, to be afraid of. Another that can hurt us. Another out there that can hurt me. So your feelings toward God will be the same as the way that you feel towards other humans. There might be more a masculine element to it or a feminine element to it. In the sense that you might have different feelings towards the father figure as opposed to the mother figure. But the way in which we see God will be no different to the way in which we see our neighbour. So, yeah, so your projections onto God are the same. So there's a part in you which cannot see another human, even though God is meant to be above humans, as being this all-loving, all-forgiving, omnipresent being. So it's your beef with humans that's the problem. It's not the beef with God. God has just come in, disguise of that.
I suppose when I talk about, an old man with a long white beard, I'm objectifying it. So it does seem like other in that sense.
And then the idea, so if you're afraid of men, for example, if you're afraid of your father, and then the idea that there is this God sitting up in the sky with all this power, That would be terrifying for you. Why would you want to take on that idea? You might say that it's stupid or that it doesn't make sense, and you might think it's an intellectual rejection. But if you saw this God in the sky as something beneficial to you, then you'd more than likely be happy to accept it.
Yeah, I mentioned a moment ago resisting God's presence. I feel like there are times when I resist presence itself. I was walking the dog this morning, and this happens oftentimes. Not that I walk the dog often, I do, but I'm out in the neighborhood, and there are a lot of woods around where I live and lots of trees, which is an invitation to be with nature and be present. And I feel like there's resistance to being present, and I can sense that resistance, but I have trouble shaking it and just being present. I don't know if that's related or not.
What stops you being present is not because of the effort. It's not that you're doing something in terms of effort wrong. It's that the reason that you're not present is because the seeking, which encourages dreaming. And the seeking is wanting things from life or wanting to reject things from life. So it's not that you aren't being a good person and being present. It's that in the energy field, there is belief that time is going to bring you freedom, and you're trying to find freedom in time. So what has to happen is always this finding of the timelessness in this moment. What is still and present before you putting in the effort in? And what is it that's trying to get to presence or avoid presence? And see through that illusion. You can also do things to help bring the seeking to consciousness. So you can do body work or somatic work to help see that which you are seeking for that you might not know that you're seeking for. And in bringing it to consciousness, like you bring it to light. So then in the future you recognize when you're out that there is fear or there is rejection or there is a feeling not good enough. And you recognize that's appearing, and then there is more discernment to not go into that. And so then there might be more resting in your true self, which is beyond that.
I realize whether I call it resistance or I call it fear, I can see that coming up, and it seems like there's some identification with it, but then there's also the recognition that it is being seen, that being seen by something that is not afraid or not resisting. But it seems like the energy of the fear or resistance is grasping for my attention and I won't say preventing it, but making it more difficult for it to just come home and relax.
So notice the mind has divided into two, the one that is more awake and the one that is less awake. So just a questioning of who the one is that registers the fear or doesn't register the fear, if there is anything there. But the fact that the fear is coming up and it's being known, there's a separation from it, is the process, is the dismantling of it.
Although no one likes to feel fear, nonetheless, when it comes up, I recognize it as a good sign, so to speak, because I am recognizing it, and
Totally.
and I'm recognizing it as not, obviously my true self has no fear or resistance of anything. So I'm recognizing it as I'll call it the ego self or the separate self or just the mind.
Mm. Yeah, and make sure that you listen to this back a couple of times. You know, this is a gift about these recordings. It's just to go over this conversation a few times.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Okay, Giacomo, you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey, Giacomo.
Hi, Lisa. Um, I it's a little bit this same topic. I think that I was on a seminar and doing some practices about meditation and movement and everything, but somehow it seems so empty. Like I then I'm wondering, yeah, why am I doing that? And it used to be like important, but so now it's a little bit difficult to see what's good for me or something, like to spend my time. Yeah, what is a good practice or something, like um, yeah, what I should do.
Yeah, I mean that's such the fundamental question. What should I do? Do you remember this story I told about Ramesh? I'll just tell everyone else. Like I've told this story many times. Like
Mhm.
so, Ramesh. This is Ramesh Balsaka. You know, me and Roger's teacher, and and you know when he was like in his late 80s, early 90s, he's like great granddaughter or something, or great niece. They all lived in the same apartment block in India. You know, the families are very close there, and everyone was going out, and so they asked him if he could watch her. So he used to have a room in his apartment with his wife, and they brought her up like coloring pencils and everything, and a coloring like something to color in. So she colored it in for Ramesh, and then she finished and she showed him, and he was like, very good, very good, it's very beautiful. And then she looked at him, and she's only like 2.5, 3 years old, and then she's like, and now what? Now what do I do? And Ramesh is just like, even at that age, like 3 years old, this idea of what should I do is so intoxicating.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's such an intoxicating idea. So just in that, you can investigate who is questioning that.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
when you're doing the practices, like who is the one that, because that's what's appearing, you know. So you went on this retreat,
Mm.
and then that's what's appearing. And then
Mm.
there's a voice in you that feels like it's hollow or it means nothing or it's empty.
Mhm.
And then there is a story that's made up on it in it, but in the actual moment of it, there is it's just a happening.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that.
And so you could say in every moment that recognition is the practice. That everything
Mm.
that's happening is perfectly in line and exactly what's meant to happen. Like
Mhm.
that
Mm.
recognition, and then who is the one doing it? Who is the one thinking? Who is the one rejecting? Who is the one taking on board? Like you could say that is the practice, this constant investigation into the nature of the
Mm.
thoughts, of the beliefs, of the ideas. Like everything is an opportunity to expose the lie.
Mm. Yeah. It's like fading in and out of the happening, like when it's happening and when it's questioned what's happening, and then somehow, I mean, for myself, I think I can let go, but then sometimes when people are involved, I'm like, oh, what is? Yeah, then it's a little bit more difficult because you think, yeah, then there's the question, like, yeah, it's like because there are so many mirrors, then somehow, so everybody becomes a mirror, and then it's like a little bit intense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and then they've got the energies, the different energies meeting and forming and
yeah,
dancing.
yeah, okay. I just keep investigating that.
Every moment is gift, is opportunity. Every moment. Did I ever tell you about this story about Roger, about when he had his car accident? I'll just tell everyone, actually, as I brought it
okay.
up. I've most already told you this before, and I apologize, Roger, if you ever listen to these streams and then you hear me speaking about you in this manner. So he one time had this car accident. He flipped his car and squashed his car and wrote off the car. And I went to pick him up, and like bring him back because it was written off. And when I went to pick him up, his response was, well, that's very good because I needed a new car. And he'd just a couple of days before insured the car for more or something. And so he ended up like getting like twice as good car, like he got twice the money for the car that he should get for the car. It's just like everything is always, there is nothing out of line. It's always perfect, whatever is appearing. It's like Roger would call it an attitude of mind, like a state, not an attitude of mind, but like a perception of mind.
Okay, I get it. For now, until the question arises again.
Yeah, that's what it does. Yeah.
All right. Thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks,
Lisa.
Giacomo. Okay, Peter, you can get ready, but I'm just going to go to the toilet first. So.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just have to check
Oh,
your...
I can't hear you. It's your sound's not coming.
There you go.
Okay.
I just have to check that I've got it in the right place. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really have a solid question either. I just wanted to say hello, and yeah, I'm just really grateful that you come back to do the live streams, because yeah, it's nice to see you, and I've missed coming to these talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sweet, the community that
Yeah.
is here in these meetings.
Yeah. I really related to what the talk at the beginning, and yeah, definitely that has been happening in my life, like an emptying out of other stuff of on a personal level, and
Yeah.
work and all things have just become, yeah, it feels like spiritual stuff is taking up much, like it's flooding everything, and that like regular life from before is sort of not, is dwindling in ways.
Yeah.
And like you say, I'm part of other spiritual community, and yeah, to me that's what's really valuable about community, finding spiritual community, and spaces where people talk about that God and consciousness, awareness. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I was,
and like-minded people to
yeah,
reflect it back to.
yeah. And I think that seems like part of back to you, which was what I was going to ask you to talk about more. I'm really into that at the moment. Yeah, I'm really into kirtans at the moment, and that's my like thing. So yeah, I think that is also really valuable, because I related to what Lean was saying, and there was definitely some sort of, and what the subject of the talk, like there was definitely depersonalization, and so at the very, very beginning of this, when sort of no self stuff was happening, and that sort of bhakti and coming to sort of be more mindful of God and prayer and devotion is really helpful in grounding, I think, and bringing it out of the head, and other stuff like, yeah, body work, like you say, always. Yeah. And then I think it's really interesting about the self, because I feel like I also related to what Lean was saying about feeling like I'm a person and then not a person, and that was really strong at the beginning. And I feel like it's like you were saying, it's energetic, and it feels, it's just the contraction, the energetic contraction, and that you think that's, I thought that you think that's the self. And then now when that contraction happens, it's not like tight like that. It's still, it's kind of feels much looser, and it feels like the space is there even when there's contraction, even when there's fear or anger or anxiety or whatever is coming. Like that's under everything or in everything, the God or awareness. Yeah.
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 And that's a really important place to be. I mean, like, just to put it into language, because space is everywhere always. Consciousness is always in everything. And like you said, like when that contraction happens, we believe that consciousness and I amness, like our self, is found in there, like everything gets squashed into it. And then as that separation happens, then you can see that there is this vessel or this energy arising in the middle of something that's so spacious and free.
Yeah.
Always there.
Yeah. And the idea at the beginning that, self is going to disappear, like it's that contraction that disappears. All the stuff, the Peter stuff still happens. It's just like, it's just coming up in the wholeness, like, weird behaviors that were always there are still there. Like they're just instances happening. and then maybe not, there's not that belief that they're contracted into the self, right?
Or that they're somebody, yeah, that equals somebody. So the way that I tend to put it into language is that the character remains, but the identification with the character dies. So it's not that character is no longer a center anymore. Like no longer like the experience, or like owning all the experience, like consciousness and beingness is mine, and that's who I am.
Yeah.
And then what happens through time, so after that has really stabilized, and even before actually, is that then the characteristics of Peter will begin to line up more and more with love. So he will get softer and softer through time. And that's not an effort. That's not something you need to do or you need to aim for. And it's not like, oh, there's going to be a better Peter in the future. It's just a natural way of things.
Yeah.
It's like love just begins to infuse all experiences, including Peter and the outside world as well. It's just a natural, but that's not, that is not a seeking thing. That's not something that you can get or you should aim for. That's just a natural happening where everything gets softer and softer and softer. There might be a stage actually where it gets bigger and bigger, but the bigger and biggerness actually is it getting softer and softer. Like it gets more and more obvious and things burn away and change.
There's still some fear around that idea of it getting bigger and bigger, I think. But I can see it's like exercising a muscle, and like, or when you do body work, when you're exercising the muscle and it gets looser and looser, it's like that, the contraction, the self-contraction is like a bit like that. It's just like you say, it's releasing itself. It's releasing it's releasing itself. Yeah. And that appears to be happening anyway. Yeah.
And to go back to the bhakti thing, so the going to the heart, like going more into the body, like that helps it go from the head. So Adyashanti, the way he used to teach, I don't know if he still does, is he used to have this saying where at first the realization is in the head, and then it goes down into the heart and into the body, and then it goes down, I think, into the guts. And it's and I think the bhakti for some people is really good for that, for bringing that energy more into the heart. It's really beautiful. It seems a really crazy thing, but the whole of India is like practices it. It's like a huge practice that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years, and you can't really explain it until you really begin to practice it, and then you're like, okay, I get it. Like you can't, it's like if you try and convince someone about like singing kirtan, because it's like, it seems like a bit mad, but then when you do it, you're like, I get it. Like it's this other energy, and it's something I can't explain it. Yeah, I can't explain it, but it's something happens through the chanting of these particular words, and and more like you could say the Shakti or the feminine energy or the beingness or presence. The feminine side comes, the love comes out more. The way I would say it in my language, if I took it out of Adyashanti's words, is I would say is that what happens is that often for a lot of people the first recognition is the emptiness and the consciousness, and then as that is recognized and as there is less seeking and less attachment to the person, then the consciousness begins to meet beingness more, like it begins to merge more with beingness, and you could call beingness life, everything. And the beingness, you could say, originates seemingly in the heart. So it's like as that emptiness is recognized, the next stage then is it to meet its companion, which is life, and that is to merge into everything fully, like to fall in love with everything. And that
Yeah.
seemingly happens, like so Adyashanti's teaching of going from the head to the heart, is its consciousness seems to be behind the eyes, and the beingness, the I amness, seems to be in the heart, but then eventually they merge into everything. Like they.
Yeah. It's weird that that has to happen when they can't have ever been separate.
No. Ever been apart. It cannot be, this could not be happening with them apart. It can only be there together. It's only a dream that they've ever been parted. It's
Yeah.
never.
But that definitely is happening, or yeah. Mm. Yeah, thank you anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Lovely to see
Nice
you.
to see you.
Okay, who have we got next? Connor. Connor.
Hi, Lisa. Good to see you on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't really have a specific question or but it's just interesting, like it's interesting being alive at the moment, I guess. It's like there's definitely this ongoing contraction and expansion. Like yesterday was very expansive, and um I've noticed like a few people that I've spent time with over the last few days, they've said that they've noticed the spaciousness in me, and I don't really know what they mean, but I thought it was interesting to note. And um I've just felt this kind of letting go moment to moment is just ongoing, and a sort of freedom. And whenever there appears to be resistance to like a thought or a decision, it's just a recognition that there's nothing to do about it. And it's just going to unfold, and then it kind of dissolves, and then I just carry on. And there's just an appreciation, like, and a freedom. Like, there's a real freedom to this, because it's like it's all gonna happen perfectly. Even like me speaking now, like it's all completely perfect. Even if I don't get the words right, or I don't like express things exactly how I intended to, none of that matters, because it's all just completely perfect.
Yeah. And that's such a relief, because the person has spent so much effort and energy in trying to get the flow of things right. So get the words right, get the expression right, be heard right, have people see it, like all these different things it's been trying to do. And it believes that the end result is that I will feel at home. And so to disattach that, so home is here, and then the person comes up and wants this pleasure or avoids that pain, but it doesn't associate home with that. And that is probably where people are saying the spaciousness is that you're connecting with that. It's not even you're connecting with it, it's just that it's becoming more and more obvious. Home isn't in behavior, so then your personality relaxes more and more. So the seeking in the personality gets less and less. So the personality actually becomes more comfortable to be in, because it's not spending so much effort trying to get something from itself, which it can't get from itself, like in time, like get from behaviors or get from being a certain way or seen a certain way.
Mm.
Do you still have a lot of energy arising?
Yes, I do, and I know exactly what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to do my own little kirtan. Um, but it's great. Like it's great because I was playing. I went. This is the beauty of like not knowing what's really going to happen. So yesterday I thought I'll go rock climbing, and then but I wasn't really sure if I'd go rock climbing, even though I was walking to the rock climbing center. Like I couldn't really tell if I would definitely do that. And as it happened, I didn't. I went to the park and I ended up playing basketball with like some teenagers, and it was really I really enjoyed it, and it was just so good to just let that energy flow, and then also like really fascinating to recognize like old patterns come up, like how I respond like automatically to like if I don't get the pass right or I miss a shot or I make a wrong decision. And, like I just really was seeing like all these old patterns and like how I used to respond, and like almost just like oh it was just yeah really nice to be with that. Um, and then so yeah, that energy is going out and being used for things like that. And yeah, and then right and then yeah. And then right now in this very moment, it's like there's these sensations, the energy in the chest, like there's like it's almost like a nervousness. So it
Mm,
feels like nervousness.
mm,
And because it's like, oh, this is quite exposing. This is
mm,
exposing for the this is exposing for me.
mm,
And yeah, it's totally fine as well. It's okay. It's like
mm,
it's absolutely safe
mm,
and warm and friendly
mm,
and really grateful as well. Just really grateful to you. Just like can't believe that I had the luck to meet a teacher like you. It's like where did that how did that happen?
just like everything else, like it's perfectly orchestrated, perfectly, all of it. Ramesh's one of his teachings was like at the end of the day, like try to discern where a choice comes from, where a choice begins and where it ends. And it's impossible. Like your whole life has been the perfect dance. If all the things that hadn't come before, then there wouldn't be the interest in this subject.
Mm,
It's like it's it's just it seems so personal and yet it's so impersonal. This immense flow that seemingly happened and at the same time has never happened. Like there's never been this life of you that's had choices or gonna go somewhere in the future. And yet seemingly in that world, when you think about your life, it's just been the perfect flow. Couldn't have been any other way. Ever.
mm,
So your luck is the luck is the desire that arises for freedom. So that is what brings the teacher.
mm,
So but that again isn't luck. That is like it's like a destiny is not the right word, but it's like the karma. That body mind mechanism has the energy ripe to desire freedom. And there's most probably been millions of lives beforehand where all of the lives before conspired to this moment now where there is the desiring for freedom, and it's the desiring for freedom that is the true guru. Like that desire to go home is what
mm,
brings then the outer guru. But it's that
mm.
desire to go home that's the true guru, the most important thing. None of this would be possible without that. That is the mechanism in which it works through. And it's an impersonal desire. Like it's not really your desire, it's an impersonal desire, but it comes up as if it's your desire. And this is total love, this recognition. All the love that you've ever felt for other things, for girlfriends, friends, music, parents, myself, all of that love is yourself and is contained in that desire to go home.
Yeah, I was reading Nisargadatta's book, I Am That, and he was talking about the inner guru, and it just really resonates. I really feel that, and I really sense how relentless this path, the relentlessness of the path, that the relentlessness that's required, you know. I really see that, and at the same time, I also see that it's I don't have anything to do with it, and it's a bit of a paradox. And sometimes, and I was relating to what Lean said as well. Waking up, falling asleep, waking up, falling asleep. And then even when my ego or the mind is like, you've fallen asleep again, and oh, I'm disappointed, and like that too is just the illusion. And then when I think, oh, I've got it now, I'm awake, kind of, that too is the illusion. It's like
Anything you see is illusion, anything. Like even this now, like the computer, me, but any thought, and that's what makes it so simple in a way, and so complicated. Because anything you see is illusion. So what is it that you cannot see, which is always here? That is what isn't illusion. All appearances change. All appearances are illusion. All of it's dreaming, 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 dreaming. The kids that you play basketball with, the road that you walk down to go to the climbing hall, the sunshine, the heat, or everything is dream. So what is it that's not dreaming? It's so pristine, it's so awake, it's so clear. But it cannot be seen by someone, but yet you are it. But you can't look at it because there's nothing which could possibly look at it, because it's not divided. But yet you are it. And then when it merges with life, with everything, so where it stops being held back, where it stops being owned and it merged to life, life is also seen as it. So that's the beingness side. That's the love side. So that everything that you see, so when you walk down the road, when you're playing basketball, all of it is that. And that's where you're like, that everything you're dreaming, but that whole dream is made of you, is made of self, is the lover. And this is where, Satchitananda, what Nisargadatta says, is that where consciousness and beingness fall back in love together, and then Ananda, bliss. But that blissfulness is what comes and goes in the person, but there's a bliss or a peace in that merging, a freedom in that merging. Ananda is, like, we translate it as bliss, but that's only a translation. You could also say peace or love. But then you get blissfulness, which comes and goes in the person as a feeling, and that you mustn't attach to. That is something that'll come and go, but it comes, it's like a celebration in the person of that recognition.
Yeah, it seems to be that's the expansion,
Yeah.
or it
So
seems.
it comes with the expansion. Yeah. The expansion is something that you can see, so it's something in the dream as well, because there's never been a contraction, but in that contraction falling away, then the self is recognized for what it is. That's complicated, but yeah, it comes, that blissfulness in the person comes when there is an expansion that happens, and then what can happen is then the person comes back and wants to hold the blissfulness and doesn't recognize that actually what was happening in that moment is that there was emptiness of self. And that was the freedom that you're actually longing for, not the blissfulness that arises in the person. But that just keeps coming and going, and then it eventually gets worked out. It's not even a doing that you need to do.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you, Connor. Okay, so this is the last question for tonight, and that's Amy. Hi.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey. Oh, hey.
Hey, we're at Gaia.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, it's nice. Thanks for having us. And
Yeah.
nice to be here. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting because today was like, it's since you were here, and that sort of old thing of like being, when I was with Muji, I think I spoke to you about it, and this kind of so deeply involved, so deeply like in satsang the whole time for years and years and years. And it was like, all of a sudden everything just started to go funny, and he kind of like threw me out, but it's like that on a sort of deeper level. There's something playing in me which is like it seems like a pattern that keeps happening. It's like it is a phenomenal, it looks like a phenomenal thing. It's like a rejection pattern. And it sometimes when it happens again, I mean, it's only happened a few times, and it's usually in relationships kind of thing. And today I was just going through this thing of like having experienced over the weekend having like a ex-partner here, and him sort of being around other women, and just all the feelings that arise around that. And in my head thinking it's okay, but on a deeper level there's a lot of grief. I just wanted to ask you sort of how, in those difficult sort of struggles and the difficult emotions that arise, how do you really, like, how can you just be with it and not pretend it's there, and just it doesn't hurt when it does? And
yeah. So just there's two answers that I want to give to that. The first answer is it's the way that Roger, so my teacher's name was Roger, he explained it to me, or what he used to say is that everything that appears is always a gift. That doesn't mean that we don't recognize trauma. So if in getting kicked out trauma arose, it doesn't mean that we don't recognize that, or we don't recognize abuse or bad things. But there's also another level where everything that happens is an opportunity to see that which isn't true. So on the human level, we can pay attention to like doing TRE if there's trauma, or doing different body works, or doing different therapies. But on another level, there's the recognition that everything that appears is the opportunity to see the lies in which we hold in ourselves. So in a way, you could say is that life is always compassionate. No matter what appears, it's always compassionate, because it's always exposing that which isn't true. So that's on the deepest level. But on the human level, the body has the ability to, hold on to trauma and hold on to different energies.
Yeah.
So on the bodily level, so you've got this recognition that it's showing you something in the body which isn't true. So another thing that Roger told me was radical honesty.
Right.
And I don't know if that's appropriate as Sambhagaya.
It's good because you could say it.
Yeah, it's like radical honesty. So what he taught me in this process, was that to expose yourself, but expose yourself without trauma. Like I was in a safe environment with him, so it's also having a wisdom. So it's like in that situation, it's like holding this realization, this space and this silence, while allowing the body to be in distress. So noticing that there is this distress that's happening in the body, but what you are is this wide space in which the distress arises in. And that's not trying to ignore the distress. It's not trying to push it out and to stay into stillness. It's trying to hold both truths simultaneously. And to allow that distress in the body to be radically honest, while allowing that radical peace there as well. So it's not that you have to indulge in the story when you're there of all the things that happened. It's like you're allowing the physical sensation and discomfort in the body to be there, and the voice that comes with that physical. So it's like, you abandoned me or something to your ex, or you abandoned me, or you hurt me. So allowing that voice, but without the story so much. So you're not going into story. And if you go into story, that's okay. But going into replaying the stories, or it's like the radical energy. So if in your heart it's like burning with pain, it's like, you abandoned me, like you left me. So it's these two things. So it's like an opportunity and a gift that your partner came at the weekend. So then holding it in spaciousness, and then on the next level or the next place is like when body work arises. So when you have the opportunity to do that, like doing something like TRE or yoga or breath work to help that energy come out of the body.
Because there can be quite an aliveness, can't there, when things come up in such a strong way. And when it moves. But there seems to be a sense of like a bit of a dullness and a stuckness in me, which it perhaps is connected to that wound or that energy that's in the body. And maybe you're right. Maybe I just need to really sort of commit to sort of do a lot more movement or some yoga, because it is all in my head, all the stories.
Somatic work. Yeah, totally.
Right.
And doing it, if you can do it with someone else, so somebody else watches you and you're heard by someone else, it really can help bring out of the stories about it and into the actual raw physical pain of it in the body. If it's in the heart or the shoulders or the solar plexus or the guts.
It's grief. It's a lot of pain. It's like a raging grief.
Yeah.
And it might be connected to those stories, but it might just be primal, and it might be...
Could be from past lives as well.
Right. Yeah.
If we...
Yeah.
I know, or I mean, some people believe in them in some ways, like past life or ancestral stuff that comes through the system.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was talking to my friend this morning, and he said there's this ancestral kind of energy around of like the old housewife, the wife archetype. It's like, the wife that does everything, and then the young pretty girls that come along and just like go like, oh, so pretty, and like and then all the guys go, oh, she's so pretty, and then the wife is there doing all the hard work, and it really plays in me, that story. Like, it happens every time with relationships and stuff, and it's stories, And it's, I know when pain arises, it's easy to just focus on it, isn't it? Just like focus on the things that are arising rather than...
Louis, deze kant, hup.
Yes, say yeah.
So yeah, rather than sort of, well, for me anyway, I'll say for me, I'm perhaps not enough in the practice of looking from the non-dual place, I guess, and maybe a bit caught up in stories. But anyway, it's nice to be in satsang again.
Yeah, it's nice that you joined.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And just so remember I said that my teacher chucked me out as well. Just so the day that he did it, he says that he turned. He was also my partner as well, and he turned over. He had this spiritual calendar, and he said that the day that he did it, it said on the character, when the student is ready, the teacher will chuck them out.
Oh my God.
So that's and then it happened. And it was so immensely painful. It was like I was only with him for 3 years, but it was so immensely painful.
Yeah.
But what he was really a bulldozer in the teaching, and so then what happened, and this is what sparked a massive shift in me. So then he chucked me out, and then it was so much to process that I decided that I would just spend 1 month doing exactly what I felt like doing, and just was really present to everything that came up in my body. And so much loneliness came up, and this one moment happened where, after 3 years of intensity, and then suddenly like cut off and no speaking, and it was this moment where I was looking out of the window, and these trees were like moving in the wind, and I just had such an intense experience of, I felt alone, I felt abandoned, but yet these trees were here, and these trees were moving in me. It was like they were fluttering, they were inside of me, and then they were outside away from me. And then it was like this movement where it was like, I cannot be alone if there is everything around me. And then it was like, no, I am alone. And it was this movement which was so striking, that these trees were like so intimately me. It was like an awakening experience that happened. Then this other stuff happened. But it was so strong, such an incredibly painful thing. It took me many years to digest that experience of that intense teaching, that intense intimacy, and then suddenly cut. And but it was such a profound experience, but so brutal as well. Like it was very painful.
So painful. So painful. Yeah, completely. I had a similar experience. It's the most painful thing. Existential, just absolute pain for years. Yeah, for a long time. And it was, I guess that triggered this thing that's triggered in me again. It really triggered that, and I just had to just do really practical things, like get a job, just work, even though I felt really weird, just get on with it. And I moved to Glastonbury at that time, and I just really, really let go. I really liked what you were pointing to in the satsangs in Sambhagaya, with there being some, like, a lot of beauty in, well, I don't know how you put it, but it's like letting everything go. But you didn't say letting it go. It was like, I can't remember what you said, but it was like there's love in, I can't remember what you said exactly. It was like, it was about everything. God is in letting go or something, or losing. We have to give it all back. Yeah, we have to give it all back. Yeah.
Everything, everything, including the teachers, the partners, the situations. And this is such a relief. But for that person, that's incredibly scary at points.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so hard being human sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, so much identification. It's just so hard. It's like, oh. And you know, I think after that experience with Muji, rather than awakening, which I had a big awakening when I was young, but there was a shutdown as well for a time. There's been a shutdown. And then sort of like gradual kind of like when I was sitting in your satsangs, I felt this kind of waking up inside, and it was almost as if the shutdown had to happen.
Totally.
Shut down all the ideas, just shut down all the ideas, and then it's like removing everything, all the ideas, so that this natural awakening can happen where truth can just reveal what is meant to happen or what it meant to be. There was a little sense of that coming in. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, thank you for hearing me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing as well.
Pleasure. Okay, I'll just take a quick look at some of the written questions. Okay, so if you're new here, I just tell you what happens now. We put a bit of light on. So I'm going to end YouTube in a moment. But if you're in the Zoom, then I just go around and just sort of say hello to everybody. Like just acknowledge everyone that's in the meeting in Zoom. Yeah. Okay. So if you just stay in Zoom, I just end it on YouTube and then I'll come back. Yeah, so thank you everybody in Zoom, in YouTube. Sorry. Yeah, really happy to be back and sharing again in this way. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Yeah, and I do these most Sundays. Yeah, and you can be added to the Telegram if you go on my website, and then you get notifications when I am here or not here. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you everyone. I really, really wish you everything. Not one or two or three things, but every God bless thing.